It was announced 5 days ago that Blackpool Pleasure Beach would close 5 rides for 2025. And we looked at it and we kind of thought initially, oh, that's not very good. But we have pondered for a couple of days before giving our thoughts on it, to be honest with you. Now, the rides in question include Eddie Stobart, the Alpine Rally, both the Carousel, the Gallopers and the Thompson one, and Sky Force, the Red Arrows ride. Now, it may come as a shock for some, but the park have put that they look on the ridership of this, and accompanied with the low throughput is the reason for their closure and indeed to look to future investment. Now, it is just worth noting, however much I find the wristbands really frustrating, it does let them know who is riding what, including on busy days. So you can't dismiss the data. You just can't. And it's very important when we look at this on this that they are reinvesting in the park. So I've seen a lot of things online. We've seen a lot of people say, it's worrying when rides are closed, and it's worrying because does that mean the park's having a downfall? They've put a massive investment into Ice Blast, which of course is becoming launchpad for 2025. I highly doubt a park is going to be doing this if they are going down south. That said, Ice Blast or Launchpad will be like a new ride experience, like it was back in the day it opened, but we do have some other closures to go with it. We know the Dodgems closed last year. Again, I would imagine that's through to ridership, in honesty, and actually the Dodgems, maintaining them, it's quite a small one, probably had quite low throughput. And when they talk about low throughput, you could compare these to the coasters and say it's quite obvious that Big One Icon will put more free people through, but that's not the case in terms of the fact that, Skyforce only holds a certain amount of people. It takes quite a long time to load. It then takes quite a long time to do its cycle, which has been cut massively. Go back to the days where you get 80, 90 plus spins on it. You can barely get like 10, 15 now before the rides close. So they've really tried to bring down a cycle to allow more people to get on it. But ultimately, in a park that's busy, and we saw queues for Skyforce during the summer, and they were massive. The ride satisfaction versus what you queue for it, I'm kind of not surprised that it's closed. Now, on a quiet day on the Skyforce front, I will say that I went on a quiet day last April, and I got on it 5 times. 4 of the times I got on it on that April day, it was an all right day. It wasn't raining or anything like that. I was the only person on the ride. So I'm not surprised. And I think it's hinted as well when they talk about future investment that indeed it has been sold and will be being removed from the park after 10 years in its current location. The other rides have been a bit hit and miss in terms of when they've been open. I don't think I saw the carousel, the Thompson Carousel, open last year. The Gallopers is a bit of an odd one. So too perhaps Eddie Stobart, but the rest of them I'm not really that shocked about. Now you can say they're taking family rides out, but they have the whole of Nickelodeon Land, plus the Chinese Maze, plus pretty much every dark ride in the park, which is catered to families. So I have to say, I think they'll be all right. Now, it does go on to talk about Launchpad, which I think is a brilliant investment for the park. They've not just got it back up and running, they've completely refurbished the ride, given it a new look, given it a new design, and it's going to feel like a brand new ride. And I think that's really important to remember. And they've done it quite quickly. They've done it in a year space as well. It was only closed last year. You've still got to order parts for it. You've still got to get it done. You've got to, launch. You've kind of got to get those massive canisters that we saw going in really over closed season. You can't do that when the park's open because of the sheer amount of space it needs for cranes and everything. So I think the park have done a great job with that. Now, we do have a couple of other ride closures, which are a little bit more in the mix at the moment, as in terms of we don't quite know what's going on. One of them is River Caves, which at the moment was closed last year, I think open for a day. Again, the ride was in a real sorry state, to be honest with you. So I'm kind of not surprised that it would need to be reimagined. And that would be my guess, is that it's going to be reimagined. On top of that, we have the Grand National, which is 90 years old this year. It's had quite a lot of work done over the last couple of years, but it is undergoing a massive refurbishment this closed season and will open later in this season, which is great. It will open in 2025. I wouldn't expect to see that open until early summer. I certainly don't think it will be open in time for Easter. But it's great that they are giving it the investment it needs. And this is the important thing. With Launchpad, Grand National, we see immediate investment right after Valhalla as well. So I think it's important to note that. And a lot of parks are trying to cut down. They're trying to save money. Aren't we all trying to save money? And I think the rides they're closing and possibly the removal of Skyforce, given the throughput of it, is a good idea. To be honest with you, I think it's a good idea, which is a bit of a shame. And then the other thing we see is Wallace and Gromit. I'm sure we all enjoyed Vengeance Most Foul over the Christmas period, and they have hinted so did they, and that may well mean a change for that ride. And when we talk about Wallace and Gromit, I think that is something that could be done and should be done straight away. When we talk about it, everyone is still talking about it. They're talking about the BAFTA win, it's off to the Oscars as well. Everyone absolutely loves it. And you've got to think from a marketing point of view, if Blackpool can implement that before the summer period, they could really advertise that as well as Launchpad for 2025. Blackpool Pleasure Beach, what are your thoughts? We've been on quiet days, we've been on busy days, and I'm not surprised when they have a wristband system in place that they can pull the data. We'll never see that data, but I'm guessing this is the reason why they have done it. And the rides they've picked, I'm really not surprised about, to be honest with you. But what are your thoughts on Blackpool Pleasure Beach for 2025? We can't wait to get back to the park. We didn't go for the February half-term event, but we will be heading up in the first month or so of open season. Can't wait to get back on some of the other rides. Leave your comments below though. Everyone's cutting their cloth. Did you see this coming?